please subscribe to the channel. It will not cost you anything if you haven't. Subscriber count is one of the most important factors for me so that I can bring great and bigger guests so that you are able to absolutely learn best knowledge so that you can live for 100 to like 150 years. And if you find value in our work, all I ask you is like hit the subscribe button right now. In return, I promise you I'm going to bring the world's best top 1% guests from India, USA and around the world, ensuring the maximum and super quality value. And now enjoy the podcast. Thank you so much.
But let's talk about the exciting world of longevity and longevity technologies. Well, first of all, like, who's Sergey Young? Who's that guy? So I'm a founder of Longevity Vision Fund. I was investing mostly in private equity, multi-billion dollars deals for the last 20 years. And then 7 years ago, I had my personal health crisis. And as you will learn over time, in 90% of cases, you need to face something dramatic on your health side for you to start to be interested in longevity and health. So that was my case. I was no exception. Nothing dramatic. I've survived. But actually, I started to develop the interest in longevity and longevity technologies. And funny enough, it's a little bit like longevity is a little bit like crypto. You can read the articles on the internet, but until you actually invested part of your wealth, not substantial, in buying some BTC or any other cryptocurrency, it's just very difficult for you to understand what is happening. So I thought I want to support the place. 4.5 years ago, we established Longevity Vision Fund with a mission to create affordable and accessible version of longevity and digital healthcare that we can use all over the world. And then longevity is my passion. My life has changed significantly when I started to work there. I do a lot of pro bono, like I'm development sponsor of HealthSpan X Prize, which we're gonna launch towards the end of this year. This is the competition when we're gonna pay probably more than $100 million to the team, which will be able to reverse aging in a group of very senior people. It's gonna be 65 years and old and above. And in the course of 12 months, imagine, winning team would need to bring technology or intervention, which will make them 20 years younger based on the biological clocks. Crazy idea, absolutely ambitious goal. We usually have 300, 400, 500 teams from 50 plus countries, participating in this type of competition. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm also a board member of many organizations. We're not going to discuss it today. And I'm also the book author, as Dima mentioned. 2 years ago, I published a book called The Science and Technology of Growing Young. I woke up famous because the book became Wall Street Journal bestseller, USA Today bestseller. This year, the book gonna be published in China, Japan, South Korea, some of the European countries as well. So, I mean, if we will have a separate discussion, I will tell you about 3 years of my book writing journey, which again was the most rewarding part of my life. I made so many friends, interviewed, very talented and knowledgeable guys in different fields. And it's been exciting. Okay, so just a sec. As you can see, I'm technologically challenged. So why aging is important? 3 things. As you can see, I used to work in McKinsey 20 years ago. So always three things. Number one, we all heard about silver tsunami. And this is basically about world becoming older. And just to give you some figures. So today we have 1 billion people on Earth who are 60 years old and above. 15 years later, this figure will come to 2, and then by 2050, it's going to be 3 billion people who are 60 years old and older on this planet. So it's obviously, we just need to change the whole government economic paradigm and healthcare paradigm to add not only quantity of years to this people's life, but also quality of years. So that's very important. And aging research and investing in longevity, important because of that. Well, the second piece is, and a second reason why aging is important, then when Mother Nature starts the aging clock in your body and aging processes, it's usually start anywhere between 40 and when we become 40 to 45 years old. By the way, I'm 51, so I'm already experiencing that. I actually tend to say I'm 51 years young, but not 51 years old, but that's semantics. With 90% of deaths after the age of 50 happening because of 4 killer monsters. It's heart diseases, it's diabetes and metabolic diseases, it's cancer, and it's neurodegenerative diseases. And we right now, thanks to different scientific discoveries and technological development, we're actually finding the way to treat 3 out of 4 of these diseases. So neurodegenerative diseases like dementia and Alzheimer are a separate subject. We can discuss it later on. We never, had so many old people on this planet. That's why no one really bothered to understand, what is happening in our mental health and neurodegenerative space. So this is really important, because if we can reverse aging, if I can become younger, and my biological age is actually 43 years. I'm 51 if you look at my passport, but I'm 43 based on my blood work and different indicators of my health. So if we can make people younger, obviously we can take away all these diseases from their life. So that's really important. And then number 3, the good news, through the whole history of humanity, we finally have something which can appreciate and solve the complexity of human biology, which is artificial intelligence. And this is extremely important. In the course of today's presentation, I'll tell you the stories where human mind failed to create the code of aging or human health. And only with artificial intelligence, which is in use with 80% of companies that we invest in, can crack it. That's why when we established Longevity Vision Fund back in 2019, people thought I'm crazy. They were like, Sergey, you're a private equity guy. Do your $100 million deals and enjoy. And because longevity at this time was really an orphan for the big pharma and big investors. But 5 years later, today, we have Jeff Bezos, Yuri Milner, Sam Altman, many other great minds and wealthy people investing in longevity. So that's really exciting that we were right in the beginning of this movement. Okay, that's enough for the intro. I want you to listen about the stories about this different signs of this longevity revolution happening around us, and try to observe and even participate with your own life choices, and not only lifestyle but healthcare choices in this. Well, I'll start with relatively simple ones, and then we'll increase complexity on the way. Number 1, it is about role of different biosensors in our life. And I'm always using the Apple Watch as an example, but I say, I can use Whoop as an example, Samsung Watch. It doesn't, or Ring. It doesn't really matter what type of device or who is the producer of your sensors or your wearable devices. 5-10 years ago, it was really convenient thing to measure like how many steps I've done during the day. That's basically, it was like activity tracker. But right now, it's not activity tracker anymore. It's your personalized healthcare devices. And again, I'm gonna use Apple. Watch out, Apple. They disrupted so many places and sectors. In fact, when people ask me like, where the future of healthcare, I can tell you that the largest healthcare companies on earth in 10 years from now is not going to be insurance company, healthcare providers, big pharma. It's going to be called Google, Apple, Microsoft, well, probably Amazon as well. I'm not the biggest fan of the big tech. There's a separate ethical and regulatory questions related to that, but healthcare is going to be disrupted. Apple can reach 50% of its revenue from healthcare in 10 years from now. You look at the recent Morgan Stanley report. And Apple Watch already a miracle. Again, it's our personalized healthcare device. It can detect 5 different types of heart arrhythmia. It can identify to you and your doctor that you are in danger of dying and need urgent or not so urgent treatment. You can use Apple Watch to do electrocardiogram. I have a close friend, his name is Daniel Kraft. He's founder of exponential medicine within the Singularity University. He's MD. So like every year, 5 to 7 times a year, he's been called, during the flight to help someone who required urgent medical help during the flight. And he's like, well, Sergey, last 3 years, my job is really easy. I take out my Apple Watch and I do electrocardiogram with this person to eliminate heart disease, heart attack risk as well. It can detect when person fall down on the street. It can actually call the ambulance for you and let your relatives know that you require urgent help. And I can go on and on. We invest a lot in biosensing. Like we invested in this thing. It's called Echo affordable ultrasound devices, which actually will cost, because they will start sales fourth quarter this year, 20 to 30 times. It's going to be 20 to 30 times less expensive than the ultrasound device that you have in the hospital next door. Or it's just another company called BioLink. They actually just received the acquisition offer from one of the big tech companies who would like to integrate their technology in their own health platform. I couldn't give you details, which can measure, it looks like glucose monitor, but can measure up to 7 different biomarkers, including cortisol. In fact, the Air Force of one of the biggest countries on earth is making a contract with them to measure cortisol for air fighter pilots. So that's really exciting. We're all going to be measured. The concept of Internet of Internet of Things. But what I talk about in my book, it's going to be Internet of Bodies. We're all going to be interconnected. We're all going to be full of sensors, and we will get the bad news about our health at the moment when the disease just starting to emerge inside your body and mind, not in the end, when disease manifests itself and you require urgent, expensive, detrimental for your quality of life help. So that was number one. Number two is about artificial intelligence and its ability to do early diagnostic of different diseases. And again, remember my earlier point that AI is the thing which can appreciate the complexity of human biology. Just to give you some figures, like last 3 years when I've done my annual medical screening in Human Longevity Center in San Diego, California, after full body MRI and CT and ultrasound of my heart and arteries, I didn't even have discussion with radiologists. It was AI who was combining report. And just to give you some figures, like human doctor working under time pressure, which is actually standard, unfortunately, for their life today, can detect early stage cancer in 38% of cases. And early stage cancer, that's exactly the stage where you want to detect, because recovery rates for early stage cancer is 90 to 100%. We're going to talk about, winning the war against cancer later on today. And then the same doctor, empowered by AI, can detect early stage cancer in 99% of cases. And moreover, it saves important time for human to human relationship during doctor visit, rather than, and because it basically takes seconds. I'm not going to bother you a lot with details, but actually I wanted to tell you the other story, which is on this slide. We invested early on, and I already got 7 FDA approvals in creating the digital version of stethoscope. Look at this. It's AI-empowered stethoscope. Again, 80% of the companies that we invest in use artificial intelligence as an enabler for this change, which actually double accuracy of using the stethoscopes for general practitioning. Well, why? I tell you, this is the first major change in stethoscopes over the last 150 years. But what is more exciting, and I find it really funny, is actually, you see, it looks like stethoscope. In fact, this device does not need to look like stethoscope, but it's just conservative nature of healthcare. Doctors like, oh, you know what? We need to look like a doctors. It's, our symbol of power, the stethoscope. So they end up with like, okay, fine guys, it can actually look like, your smartphone, but we will make sure it looks like stethoscope so you can use it with all your conservative heart and mind. Okay, next one. Gene editing. When people ask me, like, Sergey, within the near horizon of longevity innovation, this is what I call in the book the next 5, 10, 15 years, when we will receive completely different ability to extend our lifespan and health span. What is the most important innovation? And I always talk about gene editing and gene therapy. This is just mind blowing what we can do with humans as the species with that. 30 years ago, 1990, there was the start of Human Genome Project, and US spent 13 years and $2.7 billion of the old dollars, right, 1999 dollars, to sequence one human genome. They actually didn't manage to sequence it fully, but like it was almost fully sequenced. Right now, when I do it in the clinic, it's just a few hours and $200. 20 years ago, CRISPR was created to treat diseases literally for the handful of people. I mean, for up to 10 people were treated for the interventions designed for that. Right now, it's applicable to whole population of the world. And I can tell you the story. The company that we invested in a couple of years ago, it's called Tessera Therapeutics, which developed completely new version of gene editing tools which use mobile genetic elements, which is 10 times more powerful than CRISPR. And this company was established by our long-term partner. We're obviously incomparable with them in terms of how famous and big they are. It's called Flagship Pioneering, one of the best biotech funds in the world, people who created Moderna. And so this is the company from their portfolio. And I was just revisiting and reviewing results of the recent trial of Tessera mobile genetic element gene editing approach. While CRISPR was 150 times off target for the same disease, which means it cuts the wrong gene, the technology from Tessera was off target in 0% of cases, which I think is amazing. Okay, more about gene editing later on. Number 4 is about our ability to regenerate organ, and it's about our ability to actually replace organs. So I want you to think about the old cars that you've seen. You can actually, and it's called old cars metaphor, you can actually extend the life of the old car simply by replacing spare parts. You can even replace engine if you want, right? And what is happening, and one of the models that we're going to embrace and use in the future to extend our lifespan is going to be the organ replacement model. That's why we invest a lot in something which we call regenerative medicine, which will help us to regenerate or even replace tissues and organs. And then there's so many things happening in this world with it. So you can see David Sinclair, professor from Harvard Medical School, very dear friend, member of our scientific advisory board. He actually managed to use epigenetic reprogramming, very complicated new scientific discoveries, to restore vision in monkeys. And they will start human trials in 2025. Before that, it was considered irreversible vision loss. I mean, last time I've heard the stories like it was in the Bible, when blind people can actually reverse their vision. So amazing. Or we invested in a company called Igenesis. What they do, they take one donor liver and they help not to one person, but up to 75 patients to regrow livers inside our own body, in our lymph nodes. And this is amazing because liver transplantation today in the US is $800,000 procedure. And there are 120,000 people on the waiting list in the US only, waiting for donor organs. It's a huge problem. It's very expensive. So the technology from Igenesis, by the way, they're based in Pittsburgh, amazing team, will help us to reduce the cost of liver transplantation, down by 20 to 30% times. And I can go on and on about 3D printing of organs, use of animal materials to create replaceable organs for humans. But in the end of the day, what's going to happen, similar to the old cars, we're all going to be able to replace our organs when we need this. We just need to a little bit of more work on the science and technology, obviously a lot of regulatory approvals, acceptance from society, and here we are. Number 5 is the war against cancer. And if think about like 2 major diseases related to aging, one is heart diseases. And heart disease usually the signs of deterioration in your heart and vessel systems, it's a very slow pace of development. You can actually detect it during the medical screening. The problem with cancer, that a lot of different cancers are discovered at a very late stage. And stage 4 cancer discovered in your body will give you 8 to 25% probability of recovery and survival. But early stage cancer is 90 to 100% recovery rate. So that's why we've been focusing a lot of our capital, a lot of our scientific talent within the team to supporting companies which can detect cancer at early stage. We actually right in the middle of winning the war against cancer. Think about 20 to 40 years from now. Cancer was kiss of death. If you knew that something have cancer, he or she gonna die with very high probability, very high chances in the next 6 to 12 months. Well, not anymore. And I would like you to observe more and more people around the world or in your network who actually, became a cancer survivor. And this is great. The only caveat, early stage cancer diagnostic is extremely important. Well, that's why this tool that has been developed by the company, they're based in California, is supported by Google, many other great investors, and obviously by us as well. They do early cancer diagnostic. It's a blood test. And it's probably going to cost just, a couple of $100. I don't know what's the commercial setup going to be. Will help you to do diagnostic of many cancer types. They have 50 cancer types in the pipeline of development, again from the same blood draw, and you can do it every quarter. The current protocol, they started with colon cancer. Colon cancer is very dangerous because the current protocol, you need to do colonoscopy every 5 years. Colon cancer can develop itself and you can die in between these two tests, right, within the 5 years. But this kind of test you can do like every quarter and detect colon or any other cancer at very early stage. So that's extremely important development, and we're very happy to support the growth of this kind of companies and these tools. They available this and even next year here in the US and all around the world. Number 6 out of 7. In 5 to 10 years from now, we're gonna have completely different and new class of drugs, which is anti-aging drugs. Because today, if you go to CVS or Walgreens and do an experiment, ask them for drug or medicine against aging, they would think you're crazy, or they would send you to cosmetics, or they will send you to supplements, and that's it. But if we develop a lot of treatments against cancer, heart disease, diabetes, many other diseases in the world, with a similar success, there are a number of substances which can help to slow down or even reverse aging inside our bodies. It's just a lot of important developments, and it's very easily that, the two choices. First, longevity in the pill drug can be very old drug, like metformin. Metformin is a diabetes drug with a very safe profile. It's been in use for the last 60 years, which the old drug will be repurposed for the idea and indication to slow down aging. And that's why, together with the American Federation of Aging Research, here is the dear friend, Nir Barzilai, professor from Albert Einstein School of Medicine in New York. Towards the end of next year, it's going to be the trial launched in the US where 3,000 people will take metformin as an anti-aging drug, and let's see in 3 years if it's going to help or not. With very high probability, it's going to extend healthy and happy human life by another 2 to 4 years. And it's only one drug. In fact, many of you are familiar with the concept of human trials. So you have like placebo group, which receive placebo tablets, which have zero chemical substance, and you have real drug group. In fact, placebo tablets for this trial is much more expensive than metformin for this trial. This is crazy. Well, the other choice, artificial intelligence, will help us to develop the drug. And we invested in 2 companies, and in Silica Medicine and Vala Health, it's the name of these companies, which been able to use artificial intelligence to compress the drug development cycle. Drug development is like super expensive. That's why big pharma and the weapon production are probably the most sustainably profitable industries in the US across all the cycles after 1945. So drug development is $3 billion exercise. It takes 12 to 15 years. And out of 5,000 substances, only one will make it to the pharmacy. So artificial intelligence already been in use to squeeze the first 2 years of drug development into 2 months. Exciting. And then crazy stuff. And final sign of longevity revolution is that in the next few decades, and we're all going to be part of it, we're going to redefine what it means to be human. In fact, actually, it's a theme for my next book, which is going to be published probably 2025, 2026 in the US and all around the world, about the future of humans. Think about this. Today, humans are biological constructs, but like in 20 years from now, humans going to be engineered. It's going to be a combination of, man or woman or any other gender you prefer to use, and technology. And I'm talking about human brain AI integration. I'm talking about nanobots or nanorobots which flow down, flow inside our blood or lymph liquids, and help us to control the health of our body, even kill the cancer cells. I'm talking about different artificial body parts, and we're talking about human avatars as well. And all of these things that you have now on this slide, it's going to be reflected in this new definition of humans. So we will complement the biological dimension of human creation with engineering dimension. And only combination of this, the quantity of all these changes that I mentioned and I discuss on this slide will result in the quality of the step change of the human definition. Obviously, one big caveat, society and regulators needs to be ready for that. And that's a big if, actually. I think if you ask me, I think in 10 to 20 years, we're going to be ready to use all this technology. But, in terms of ethics, in terms of morale, in terms of regulators, are we going to be ready to embrace and accept that? I'm not sure. So that's it about what we do in both longevity growth. I'll give you the overview of the fund in a second. I don't think we need to discuss fund a lot today. I actually meant to talk more about longevity revolution. Look, we have an amazing opportunity to work with one of the best scientific talents in the world in the field of longevity, and all of these people are basically legends, like George from Harvard Medical School and MIT. He was the one who developed this, and co-initiated this human genome project, which was done in the US. Remember when they spent 2.7 billion on decoding human genome? He was the one who was who played the key role in developing the CRISPR genetic scissors as well. He has a funny and very interesting one. He obviously established hundreds of companies, and one of them is the company which takes genetic material of species which are which already died and in the process of evolution or because of the human interventions, like woolly mammoths, dinosaurs, and try to recreate them by the means of gene editing. And so the company called Colossal, and I would not be surprised if in 10, 20 years time, you'll take your kids or grandkids to the zoo, and funny enough, our grandkids will have an opportunity to see like real dinosaurs in this case. So that's crazy. David Sinclair, author of the book Lifespan, one of the best books on longevity, professor in Harvard Medical School. He is the guy who's actually working on the reprogramming different tissues. In fact, in a very simple terms, like he can take like every cell inside our body and reprogram this cell by using something which is called Yamanaka factors to become completely different cell, and even like younger cell. Guido Kromer is the other legend, the guy who actually established the whole theoretical framework of fighting with aging. It's called Hallmarks of Aging. It's been published first 10 years ago. In fact, he revisited this framework earlier this year. He's worked with us, and I told you the story, New Barcelona, the guy who's leading the effort on approval and trial of longevity in the field, when we all can have a medicine which will help us to reverse aging inside our bodies. I don't want to talk about companies that we invest in. I use a lot of examples during today's presentation, but obviously, LVF is a commercial, things. We help our investors not only to make money, but to change the world by bringing affordable, accessible version of longevity. We write books, scientific papers. We are supporting development of this HealthSpan X Prize. In fact, it was me 5 years ago who took money from my pocket and built the design of that. Right now, it's going to be one of the largest competition in the world, which is going to invest 100 million of pro bono money to support 300, 400, 500 teams from 50 plus countries, bringing different interventions to make old people 65 plus 45 years old and young in the course of 12 months. So this is amazing. In fact, I don't know if you know the history of X Prize Foundation. I'm member of innovation board there, and we know the first X Prize competition outcome as Virgin Galactic, because 20 years ago the competition was to build the first private spaceship, and it was the start of the private spaceship industry. Richard Branson bought out the outcome of the winning team and created Virgin Galactic on that basis. The largest X Prize competition we've done so far, it was back in 2021. We started then, was Carbon Removal X Prize, sponsored by Elon Musk with $100 million. But I do hope that we're gonna launch the HealthSpan X Prize toward the end of this year, and we finally will find the solution to aging. We also do the program called Longevity at Work. It's a pro bono program. We help the largest corporations, and I'm now in the search of the countries where we can implement and integrate longevity practices and create longevity enabling environment on the level of factories, offices, and even on the level of cities. So this is very exciting. Well, that's it for today. If you want to learn more about longevity, send us a note or follow me on Sergey Young 200 in Twitter or Instagram, or go to sergeyyoung.com and sign up for our newsletters, or send me email. It's young@lvf.vc. It's exciting world, and I'm very happy that after today's presentation, you'll have more thoughts and the opportunity to observe the changes in the environment and be a part of this change.
All know India is the diabetics capital of the world. Our nation is facing a severe problem because we don't have that preventive healthcare education. And if you see, most of the people in India die, apart from the old age, is like cardiovascular disease, cancer, and high blood pressure, which can be easily prevented. And I discovered one of the greatest clinics, which is at like Chennai, which is AIWO Clinic, which has like profound infrastructure and excellent cutting edge facility, and they are using artificial intelligence to understand what's happening in our body, the things what we cannot see or like ask like a normal person, right? And with precision, which leads to one of the most important things. Like it's always told, prevention is like better than cure. And if you are living an ultra busy lifestyle, want to take control of your health, I highly recommend you go to like Chennai at MRC Nagar, do your AIWO 181 test and like understand what's happening in your body, like DEXA scan. I basically did that. I was able to understand where is the fats in my body, what I need to eat. I had the call with the doctor, and they told me what food I need to eat, what supplements I need to do, and everything. And this will help you live longer. And I have put the link in the description. You can check out from that link. And also, if you're very serious about like longevity and want to live for 100 years and want to talk to like billionaires like Shiva Shankaran sir, like Aircel founder, I invite you for the 7 days longevity retreat, which is happening at like the Neela Palace, the 5-star hotel. People around the world from like USA, UK, Europe, and India are also coming. Do check out that event so that you are able to learn even more knowledge about like longevity and everything. And I'll see you at that event at January 2025. Thank you so much.